This is the case study for group TBD6 for MBAD6141, Professor Yaw, DMD Enterprises. Our group members were Emma, Stephen, Bilal, Justin, and Natalie. Introducing Marty. Marty had a dream of opening a bike shop. And after a few attempts at opening his own bike shop, Marty finally figured out his secret formula. He needed to focus on producing only 2 types of bikes. And these 2 models he created were the Arrow and the Dart. Marty has been making bikes for a bit, but has yet to turn a profit. His inventory hasn't been properly organized, and he feels that may be his kryptonite in order to turn a profit. Marty began by ordering enough parts to assemble bikes for 4 months. He had bike parts everywhere, and there was no space for anyone to work. It was a solid mess. It became even more apparent that Marty needed to get a grip on his inventory management skills in order to have a profit and be successful. After some research, Marty decided that he needed to create a materials required plan, known as an MRP. And the goal of an MRP is to answer 3 major questions. What parts and tools are needed, how much of each part is needed, and what date are the parts needed by. An MRP is created with 3 major parts: a master schedule, a bill of materials file, and an inventory records file. These parts keep all of the information that answer the goal questions of Marty's MRP.
Marty wants to use a more orderly approach for the production planning. His first priority is to develop a materials requirement plan, or MRP, for the upcoming periods. His goal is to assemble 15 arrows and 10 darts each week. He wants to have them ready at the start of week 4 through week 8. The next slide shows the product structure tree for the 2 bikes. Product structure tree or assembly diagram provides a visual picture of the subassemblies and components needed to assemble a product. In this case, Arrow and Dart are 2 end products. Just beneath each are the subassemblies or major components to make up the end products, Arrow and Dart. Beneath each major component are the necessary lesser components. At each stage moving down the tree are the components or parts or materials needed to make 1 unit of the next higher item in the tree. Let's look at this diagram again. Each arrow is made up of 3 subassemblies, X, M, and W, and each X subassembly is made up of 1 component of F. In the case of Dart, each dart is made up of 2 subassemblies of K and 1 subassembly of F. And each subassembly of K is made up of 2 components of W and 1 component of Q.
What is inventory record? Inventory record is a manual or computer-based record of the quantity of the kind of inventory, whether it's on hand, committed or allocated to firm orders or work in progress, or even on order. It often includes history of recent transaction in each inventory item as well. Now, here is an example of DMD Enterprises inventory record. It breaks down how many parts of each item we have on hand, the amount of time it takes to get these parts, or otherwise called lead time, broken into weeks, and the lot sizing rule. The lot sizing rule breaks down the order quantities that you order each part in. In other words, whatever you need in that particular week is how much you're going to order and ultimately how much you're going to receive. In some cases, it will state multiples of a certain item. When planning your inventory for these types of items, you must order in those multiples. For example, in this case, multiples of 25. So you either have to order 25, 50, 75, 100, or multiples of 12, 12, 24, 36, so on and so forth. The inventory record also states the items we have on hand starting the first week off. This is typically your starting point when moving through the material requirement plan. Now here's an actual breakdown of the material requirements plan for DMD enterprises. First, I would always start out this material requirements plan by stating the lead time and the lot sizing rule on the left-hand side for each item. In this case, for the aero bike, lead time of 2, and it is a lot for lot item. As I mentioned earlier, lot for lot is however many we need to complete each week's order, and that's how many we order and ultimately receive. And as always, we typically start out with the quantity on hand. In this case, that number is 5, and we work through it week by week. So from that point on, taking it week by week, we start out with 5, and then we work our way eventually out to week 8.
After spending several days with Marty, we truly understand both the aero and dart bicycles that he's making. On the top left-hand corner, we were able to design a product tree structure for the aero bicycle. And on the right-hand corner, we were able to come up with a master requirements plan. This allows Marty to determine exactly what quantity of parts he needs, what parts he needs, and when he needs those parts, so that he can order just-in-time inventories to meet the demand requirements of an aero bicycle. We caught up with Marty a few weeks after we had designed this for him. Luckily for him, he's one of our friends, so we did this for free. But he's doing great. This guy is doing excellent. He's the man. He's a true American-made entrepreneur. It's a great story, hometown hero kind of guy, and he's making cash hand over fist. You like this guy.
So we are at the final slide and we are discussing the final MRP for Dart. As you know, there were 2 types of models for the bike, Aero and Dart. So Aero was discussed earlier. Now we are discussing Dart. From a product structure standpoint, we have 3 levels. Dart obviously at level 0, then the item K and F falls in level 1, and then level 2 W and Q resides. K and W, they have a factor of 2, meaning everything is multiplied by 2. From a MRP standpoint, from a beginning inventory standpoint, we start from week 4 and goes till week 8 with a quantity of 10 in every week, and then we calculate everything from Dart till all the products which are K, F, W, Q in the product structure diagram. For example, Dart, the scheduled receipts are 20 and they start from week 4 because the beginning inventory is from week 4. And then once all the calculation is done, since Dart moves to K2, all the planned order releases move to K2, and whatever the number of planned order releases, in this case it's 8, 10 and 10 from week 4, 5 and 6. For Dart, they goes to K where they are multiplied, and 8 becomes 16, 10 becomes 20, 10 becomes 20 for K2, and so on and so forth for K2 and W2, and the similar scenario for K and F. F is on the right side, and on the left side of Dart we have K, and then for the W and Q. So that's how the MRP is designed, is in a way to capture that. That sums up all the explanation for MRP for Dart. Thanks.